again to 810. He and Kogan here with you. We are taking you through another discussion on trust. Probably something we addressed when we started to talk about particularly Rockefeller.
I trust this is going to be a very fun lesson.
Oh, this will be a good one.
Yeah, had to do it.
Yep, yeah, he did. Now, when you're looking at trusts, and again, this is a corporation that's run by one board of directors. There are going to be pros and cons to this, and I think we've been trying to be fair about how we cover these guys. We mentioned the fact that they have ruthless tactics. However, there are going to be some benefits to it. So whether or not or where you stand on that particular issue is entirely up to you. So let's move along here. This is a good one. When we're looking into documents that kind of get into Standard Oil, if we were to use this in a classroom, this is very, very similar. And again, if it's not an octopus, they try and make it look like an octopus
to
make it look
it's an octopus or a snake. That's all it is.
Those poor creatures, they get such a bad rep in political cartoons and cartoons.
Snakes eat mice.
So if you saw our analysis of the octopus with Standard Oil being mean and cruel and corrupt, attacking everything, if you've seen that, you've definitely seen this, is pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So again, what's Standard Oil doing? Taking over other companies, controlling the bank, the railroad now. They've kind of expanded a little bit. And do we have any? Yep. And of course, we have our links to shipping, and we also have our links to government. This one, well, you don't have an opinion in here, that's for sure.
It's just it's the selling of oil lamps.
Yeah.
Really fancy looking oil lamps.
Sure.
I'm not alive in the early 1900s, late 1800s, but I would imagine that this would be sold in like a Sears catalog, or actually the Montgomery Ward Company catalog,
right,
which was, I guess, similar to Sears catalog at the time. But yeah, one is just an advertisement, and the other one I would throw the word bias out there.
Oh,
is definitely looking at it through
without a doubt.
bias eyes. I don't know if she could draw pictures, but this person, whoever drew it, definitely read
Ida Tarbell.
Yeah.
So if you're an historian here and you're looking up at this question here, which one's going to be most useful to you to try and understand the impact that Rockefeller had on the nation in the 1800s? It's kind of tough. You could say, okay, this is just one person's opinion. What Mr. Kogan's bringing up, well, this might be a cartoonist that was inspired by Ida Tarbell.
The muckraker, Ida Tarbell.
Which we will get into. Yep, right there. We'll put that right there. There we go. So, but if we're looking at this could just be one person's opinion who could have been inspired by somebody else. However, you look here.
No opinions.
No opinions right here.
Just go buy this
There's
product.
a lot of benefit. These were apparently in demand.
Yep.
And I don't think they sold oil with them.
No, it's kind of important to have light.
Absolutely.
If we don't have light after 5 p.m. in the winter or 9 p.m. in the summer, you're not really doing much. So you can understand why Standard Oil, other than his ruthless tactics, is going to rake in the profit.
It's going to be profitable.
Yep.
And of course, the other thing that here, I guess you could say that is in the background is that if people are making lamps, there's going to be a lot of people making money off of Standard Oil.
Mm-hmm.
You have the people that are making lamps. You have the people that are selling the lamps.
I don't know who Montgomery Ward is and what his company is, but he's certainly making a profit off of the product that Rockefeller is providing.
That's dependent on oil. Yep, absolutely. So, again, these small businesses were a threat when we're looking at big businesses such as Standard Oil. Corporations are becoming more and more prevalent or frequent in our society, and there he is.
There he is.
That poor octopus. He gets such a bad rap.
I know.
All right. So when we're looking at trust, though, I guess we're going to go through like the pros and cons of them. I guess that's what we're doing here today. So
yeah, I love this one.
Okay, let's go.
There's so much going on here.
Yep.
And when I break this down in class, it's like, all right, well, let's first look at where we are.
Yeah, we are. Setting is everything.
This is the Senate of the monopolists, by the monopolists, for the monopolists.
Right.
That sounds a little bit something similar to what Lincoln once said.
Of the people, by the people, for the people, all of this stuff. And it just so happens the people's entrance right here
is closed and locked.
Yep.
That here we have our senators who don't particularly appear to be hard at work, do they?
No, they don't.
You know, and as they're sitting here getting ready to make our nation's laws,
it's almost like they're taking their orders from somebody, you know, or
the entrance for those monopolies, those monopolists, whether it's the Standard Oil trusts like Rockefeller, the steel trust like your Carnegie, you know, they're coming in, and I love how they're dressed.
You know, top hats, you know, going back to the girth that you mentioned in a previous video, which indicates power and wealth.
And greed.
And greed, yeah, there we go.
But they're also money bags.
Oh, of course.
They're actually money bags.
I was going to get to that.
Oh, okay. And I love this guy because it's almost like he's looking back at them like, hey, what do you want me to do?
Hey, yeah, how am I voting, and where's my money to vote how you want? And when we look at these particular industries, you have the steel industry, Standard Oil, copper, you know, these are your coal, there we go. These are your particular industries that are making huge profits. That are not being regulated as well. So that's going to be some of the things. Another thing I bring up is that, well, you know, who should control, who has power in the Senate? People say senators, but actually, you know, it's the people really, because the people are electing them. Now, you have these elected senators, 2 per state, but who seems to be making all the decisions or influencing it?
Yeah, because it's like not only these men large in girth, they're large in height and size. And our senators are small here. Looking at that as
Again,
a large against small, a size representing who really has the power. You know, me or my 6-year-old son who's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
So if we're looking at pros and cons of trust right here, this is all pretty much negative as well. So you're looking here, these trusts have a lot of influence in government, without a doubt. They have the control here, not the people. So those are certain things we could see in terms of that. And again,
This is Columbia.
there she is.
There she is. We got Columbia.
Oh no, it looks like a big
in the
Kong
arms.
is taking her away.
King
He's
Kong's,
not there yet, just.
You know, and democracy is trying to take him down.
Yes, the democracy's dead. This is definitely hurting people in the United States.
Trusts are going to hurt our representation in America.
Absolutely.
Rockefeller.
Oh, this is great. And again, you know, when you're looking at some negative things to trust, you know, again, more control, and particularly in government. Some people bring up the whole pollution factor. You know, we probably weren't thinking to look at that.
No.
that
But you go back to this one now.
Yeah.
And Rockefeller is going to argue.
Yeah, he will. Oh, yeah.
Rockefeller's going to argue. Well, first of all, there was no oil industry before Rockefeller.
It wasn't run efficiently either.
He's like, I came in, I ran this efficiently, I employed hundreds of thousands of people.
And when people have money, they will spend it.
Yes.
And they're happy.
I employed hundreds of thousands of people and impacted the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not tens of millions more.
Put light in people's homes.
Yes. I brought day to night.
Right. Factories and businesses, you know, as Mr. Kogan was bringing up before, you know, now you can actually conduct business past 5 o'clock because you now have light.
Yep. You're that farmer whose day was dictated by the rising and setting of the sun.
Absolutely.
Now maybe with an oil lamp you can go outside and continue to work.
And here's the other thing too.
Milk
When you're
the
looking
cow
at
or
the,
something.
when you're looking at the pros, of course, you know, if you're selling a lot of lamps and you're selling a lot of oil, what happens is that you can bring that price down. You're making it much more affordable, which means more profits.
If we go back to the steel trust in like Carnegie Steel,
Sure.
you know, he's lowering the price of steel,
Yep.
making steel more affordable for the average American or the average company, which is then going to make cities like New York and Chicago go up,
Right.
and build skyscrapers, which that's now going to employ hundreds, if not thousands of more construction workers.
Yeah, a lot of these industries were dependent on one another. I mean, especially when you're looking at the rail lines. You know, if Rockefeller wasn't shipping all of his oil through the rail lines, you know, there was a reason why a lot of them were competing for him as a customer. They would have failed.
Oh,
They
and what
absolutely
were
would have
trains made out of?
Yeah,
Track
steel.
Trains made out of
Yeah,
steel.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, we didn't even get into the whole Pied Piper behind all the scenes of J.P. Morgan yet.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so there are benefits. You know, when you make the arguments for the trust, they're employing people.
Sure.
People have money. People are going to be spending money.
Absolutely.
You know, that's every time there's a presidential election. What is unemployment?
Right.
You know,
the unemployment rate, when it comes out, you know, you are judged based on that number.
You know, if you're President Trump right now and you're looking at the unemployment rate, it's either going to help your reelection cause or it's going to hurt you.
Yep.
And I can't think of a single election in our lifetime where employment wasn't one of the top 3 issues, and
Sure.
the unemployment rate was not.
It's
one of
always
the top,
an issue.
Yes,
Always
going to be an issue.
Always.
You know, so it's again, this is a lesson better done in class.
Right.
You know, when we hand out some more of the things. You know, but I think the biggest problem that we see with the case against the trust is a monopoly.
Yeah, they form monopolies.
You know, and when you were Standard Oil, or you were Carnegie Steel, or you were New York Central Railroad, you controlled everything.
Right.
And you set the prices. I argue with I'm not arguing, I teach my students in class, it's like, we want competition.
Sure.
In this country.
It's better for
Competition
us.
is good for the
Yep.
consumer. And I give them the story of over in Comac, there used to be a Best Buy right across the street from a Circuit City, which was next door to a PC Richards.
Haven't heard these names in a
Right.
long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Circuit City's out of business now.
Yeah,
So
gone.
there's still a PC Richards and a Circuit City.
Wow.
And I was going to buy a TV. Wanted to buy a new flat screen TV. So what did we do?
Yes.
I walked into PC Richards. I found the flat screen TV that I liked. It was $1,000. So I walked across the street. I walked across the street to Best Buy. I found the same exact TV. It was $900. You know what I did?
Got the one. You told them what they were charging to, so this way you can maybe get a better deal.
Yeah, I walked
Why
back
the
across the
$900?
street.
Yeah.
Walked back across the
That's
street to PC Richards. I'm like, hey, they're charging $900 for this same
That's
TV.
it. It's
The
a
guy
no-brainer.
goes back and comes back. I go, we can go down to $850.
850, yeah, or 800. Yep.
So what did I do? I went back across
over
the
there.
street.
Hey, he's gonna go 850. Can you
Yeah.
go lower? And it's
So
like, how low can you go?
eventually, I got it for $850 at PC Richards, only because they threw in an extra year of warranty.
Of course, yep.
Why? Because they were competing for my money.
Yeah, right.
If Best Buy was the only company in the world I could
It's
buy a flat screen-
$1,500.
Yeah,
That's it.
Really? How
That's
about
it.
14? No, how about $1,800?
How about no?
What?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. You don't have competition. And here's the other thing too. When you're looking at certain products, I think of this in terms of game systems. If you only had like Xbox, that's it. They have no reason to improve their product because the competition, they no longer have it.
Yep.
Why do I need to come up with a better headset or a controller or
Or the
graphics?
iPhone.
That's it.
If there wasn't Samsung out there,
Right.
at least competing with Apple, I mean, it's not
Exactly.
a very close competition right now, but if they weren't at least competing, and I don't think I've ever played a game of Monopoly that I actually finished.
And here's the other thing too. When you're talking about Monopoly as well, a lot of emotion comes in this.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them. My wife has called me some names I can't repeat right here.
Yeah.
We got my son involved, and he started winning, and he found his bedtime getting earlier and earlier as he became successful with this. You do get some emotion out of this, because the whole goal is to put people out of business.
Yes. And by definition, the word monopoly
Yeah.
means when you own all of a particular industry.
Yep.
Because what's the goal of the game?
Yeah, it's
To own the entire board.
Here's one industry, here's another. When you get that,
There's a great joke about monopolies and rich people and the game itself. It's like, how do we know the game of Monopoly was just a game? Because rich people pay taxes and can actually go to jail.
oh gosh. But again, when you're looking at this monopoly, when you control all means of production within that particular industry, you have a monopoly. You no longer have competition. And there are pros and cons to that as well. When we're looking at
Mostly cons at that
it.
point.
Mostly cons, because when you have, it hurts the consumer, the people who are buying things, but the business owner is going to profit from that.
Yeah, so that there's a monopoly, you control all or nearly all of a business in a particular industry. Exactly what Standard Oil did. They owned at most basically 95% of the oil industry. There's different industries now, so we have to understand that.
Sure.
Enter the Sherman Antitrust Act.
Yep.
Passed by Congress in I forget the exact year. It was early.
This
It
was
like
1896.
Yeah. 1896, which banned the formation of trusts and monopolies.
And it wasn't really enforced
Nope.
until you get to the 1900s.
Why wasn't it enforced?
And it was Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, but
wasn't
these-
enforced because these guys had
But
so
it wasn't
much
until Theodore
influence.
Roosevelt, a trained and studied lawyer,
Yep.
went and looked back at the law and went, hey, wait a minute, this is not. I don't even have to create a new law to break up these corrupt.
And when we get up to
industries.
Theodore Roosevelt, he's also coming in at the time of those muckrakers.
Right.
Exposing all the corruption going on within
Yep.
these industries. And Theodore Roosevelt's like, no, I'm not having any of
No,
this.
absolutely not.
And then he is going to eventually break Standard Oil, and
Whew.
yeah. To understand the wealth that he had, the remnants of Standard Oil today, because eventually Standard Oil is ordered by the courts to break into different divisions. So it's broken into these 8 7 different oil companies. These companies have since merged back together, but basically, the remnants of Standard Oil is ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, and Marathon Petroleum. And if we look at the profits that these companies have made, this, I forget what year this was, but ExxonMobil, BP, and Chevron are 3 of the 4 most profitable oil companies. The only one that's in this is Shell, which is owned by
I don't even know. I'm not.
Saudi Arabia.
Oh, okay.
It's Saudi Arabia. You know, and even ConocoPhillips. ConocoPhillips is also a remnants of Standard Oil as well. So really, 4 of the 5 most profitable oil companies today are remnants of what was left over by Standard Oil. So just to give you an understanding of how wealthy and powerful Rockefeller really was.
Oh my gosh.
This is a great clip.
It's such a great
Such a great clip.
And it's great too, because when you're looking at this clip, when he's being broken up as a monopoly, you know, his response to them is, hey, I made this industry much more efficient, everything went smooth,
So
people
tell
had
me,
jobs.
why am I
Why are
here?
we here? You call it monopoly, I call it enterprise, and you know, really gives you that moment of pause. Was he really wrong?
Yeah. So again, although this was passed in the 1890s, we're really not going to start to see it going into effect until Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, and Woodrow Wilson,
Trust busting,
those,
progressive presidents.
progressive presidents. Yep, perfect. On to the next one.
Thank you for watching.